future behold.
My name is Baratunde Thurston. As a journalist and blogger, I've made it my business to keep my finger on the pulse of technological change. What's the world gonna look like in 2030? Get ready to see the future.
Today, advertisers peddle everything from hamburgers to theme parks with promises of pleasure. They all want to push our secret buttons. Billions are at stake, and the business of grabbing attention has become a real mind game. But is there any way to guarantee that their product pitch will scratch my itch? Dr. Steve Miller and the folks at NeuroFocus in Berkeley, California are trying to master just that. It's a kind of synaptic salesmanship called neuromarketing.
You're at NeuroFocus, and you're at the NeuroFocus laboratories. We conduct neurologic testing to do research on marketing and advertising, and we are going to put 64 sensors on top of your scalp, and they collect data 2,000 times a second while you respond to marketing and advertising.
I have a pretty awesome brain, so how can you narrow down the focus of what you're looking for?
Well, we want to both get your conscious and kind of your subconscious responses, so that we can look at what grabs your attention, what you have an emotional response to, and what kind of things you're going to remember afterwards.
Before he monitors my brain, Steve needs to calibrate my eyes so he knows exactly what part of an ad I'm looking at.
The middle center.
Middle center is number 5.
Middle right.
Lucky number 7.
Once I'm dialed in, I put on this stylish cap. Now the electrical signals in my noodle will be picked up by sensors on my skull. And the NeuroFocus team thinks it can make sense of those signals. All I have to do is kick back, watch a movie, and let my thoughts do the talking.
Let's wiretap my brain.
Coming up, my secret desires become public information.
That's not what you do with a stick. You beat people with a stick.
Future behold.
At NeuroFocus in Berkeley, California, Dr. Steve Miller is about to revolutionize advertising by probing my mind. First, he has me watch a video.
Let's wiretap my brain.
The images and music stimulate my brain, and the sensors in my cap record my mental activity. Mapping out my thoughts and feelings means tracking different parts of my brain, none of which is easy to pronounce. When I focus on an image, 2 brain regions fire up, the lateral prefrontal cortex and the occipital cortex. If an image elicits an emotional response, the interior frontal gyrus and the amygdala start buzzing. When I store something in my memory, the hippocampus kicks into gear. Now, if all these areas are revved up at once, there's a good chance the images I'm seeing are making me feel pleasure. Steve now knows what it takes to turn me on. The whole experiment takes only 2 minutes.
Cool.
So tell me about the video. What kind of things do you recall?
There was some really delicious scenes in there. The berries looked awesome. A lot of the people looked awesome, and they were pretty much having a great time.
Unfortunately, awesome isn't quite enough to describe what went on in my head. So, for every image I saw, the computer recorded a corresponding read of my attention, my retention, and my emotional engagement. Attention tells it that I'm focused on the images and not nodding off. Retention measures how well I'll remember an image. And my emotional response suggests that I like what I saw well enough to buy it. And that's the bottom line, describing to the advertiser the precise combination of factors that will motivate me to shell out some cash. Some images illustrated basic pleasures, like delicious food.
There's a network that deals with your recognition or thoughts, feelings about pleasure. Kind of that early man, that primitive component. That deals with
food, fight, shelter, food.
Right.
Yeah. So are you saying I'm primitive?
Well, everybody has a primitive component.
Okay.
Right? We still have to make sure that we eat.
True.
Right?
Other images were more nuanced. They require context to understand and would only suggest pleasure to a modern man who needs a vacation.
So I can derive pleasure from both the primitive and the more complex. And you're able to tune in to the different channels, maybe in the different areas of my brain to help kind of tease out what I derive more or less pleasure from.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. I would love to bring a primitive man into your lab, hook this awesome hat up to him, and see how he reacts to the concept of vacation.
Yeah, golf, that's right.
Or golf.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? That's not what you do with a stick. You beat people with a stick.
The system doesn't just measure the obvious pleasures. With work, it can pin down very specific desires. I may not be people with sticks, but this thing has got me pretty dialed in.
If I wanted to individualize a communication for you, obviously I could go with the kind of the dessert tray, you know.
That's an ideal video frame for me.
By knowing precisely what fascinates and delights us, advertisers can tailor their messages to answer the exact yearnings or aspirations that will turn us into customers.
I really believe that the way that individual preferences are moving, we're not going to be happy if somebody gives us a general advertisement. We really want stuff that's targeted for us.
So my brain is going to tell me what I like without me having to consciously be aware of it. I like this future.
Of course, there's a darker side to all this. With the power to make us act, this pleasure principle can be used by those who control it to manipulate our minds into fulfilling their dreams instead of our own. Today, when we walk down city streets, we can tune out most of the messages that bombard us. But 20 years from now, they may not be so easy to ignore. If they've got our number, resistance may be futile.
When I was 12 years old, I used to love skateboarding, but I'm not 12 anymore, and my likes and dislikes have gotten a lot more complicated. Companies like NeuroFocus are using the latest in neuroscience to tap directly into the brain and determine just what it is we like and how we respond to the world around us, whether it's attention, emotional response, or our ability to remember. Now, this is in advertisers and marketers' dreams, and naturally, they're the ones financing it today. But tomorrow, we're looking at opportunities in education to customize lesson plans to make learning fun. We're looking at opportunities to make my selection of dinner or music more fun on top of that. A world that's governed by always-on access to our brain's truest insights into likes and dislikes is one that's more personalized, more customized, and hopefully more pleasurable. The future of pleasure is hot. We'll play better music because of robots, and life will taste a bit sweeter because of a berry. We'll stay calm because of our natural body odors, and technology will let us know what our brains really like, and we'll regulate all this fun with something called TMS. The future of pleasure, more potent, more personal. Something I'm really looking forward to.